Hey folks, welcome into the News 12 Now Desk. Thanks for joining us here Monday, May 8th. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend. We had some pretty good weather for the weekend, and it looks like we got some pretty decent weather here this morning. It's a little muggy, but it's better than the cold temperatures we saw early in the mornings last week. Taking a look at what Tim left up here, we got maybe some maybe some rain the next couple days here in the CSRA. But right now, looking outside, it is a little overcast, but pretty good for the most part. We're taking a look at our top headlines, some of the biggest stories going on, not just here in the CSRA, but around the two-state, or really around the country, as we take a look at kind of recapping the weekend and looking forward now to the rest of this week. We start off with an update out of Texas now. The Brownsville Police Department in Texas says they do not believe yet that the SUV truck driver intentionally hit a crowd of people at a bus stop this weekend. The accident left 7 people dead and at least 10 others injured. They say they're aware of a report circulating of them claiming it may be intentional, but they want to lay those rumors to rest as they continue to investigate.
It could be 3 different things. 1, it could be intoxication. 2, it could be just an accidental one. Or 3, it could be intentional. There's 3 different things that we have to look at. One of them is intentional, but that's not the concern right now.
The driver was arrested on charges of reckless driving. However, authorities say more charges are likely to be filed. Come on. There we go. Aiken County deputies say a teen who went missing last week is back safe with his family. Romello Price's mother reported him missing Thursday. Deputies believe he ran away. She told deputies he left a note behind saying he was going to Target in North Augusta. But again, he is back safe with family. Orangeburg County deputies say a 3-year-old's parents were found after finding the child without a caregiver in Roosevelt Gardens. Police called on the community to help find his parents or someone who could identify that little boy. They were able to find the parents around 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Still no word yet on how that boy became alone without his parents. South Carolina troopers responded to 2 separate accidents near Orangeburg County. The first one happened Saturday night just before midnight on Highway 389. Troopers say a semi-truck collided with an ATV. The semi-truck driver died from their injuries later on at the hospital. A second crash happened less than 3 hours later on Highway 47. Troopers say a Camry with 5 passengers drove off the side of the road and flipped over after hitting a culvert pipe. One passenger didn't survive. No words yet from the Orangeburg County coroner on the other victims. The Clarks Hill Classic is a smaller regional bass fishing competition, one of the 75 events Columbia County has put on in the past year. Taylor Martin joins us on how this brings 2 best friends together.
Well, Dustin Williamson and Hunter Temple started the day in the lead, but by the end of the competition this evening, it turned into a tournament they'll never forget.
Feels good. It's been a long time coming. We spent a lot of time up here, so it's finally paying off.
It's the winning feeling.
I don't think it's really hit me yet, but it's definitely something me and Dustin both been working hard, and it finally pays off.
Taking home $20,000. Thanks to all these people on this row right here in front of us is Hunter Temples and Dustin Williamson.
South Carolina anglers Dustin Williamson and Hunter Temples have been fishing together since high school. And after losing an eye in a fishing accident in 2019, Hunter says it's been a journey climbing to the top.
It's been ups and downs. There's always, we've won smaller tournaments and stuff, but, this is the biggest thing we've ever won.
3 years later, with $30,000 in scholarships, the excitement continues to grow.
It's great. I enjoyed it with the youth all those years, and I like to stay active, and just something to give back and keeps me active.
Today, both winners walked away with $10,000 each, passing multiple on the leaderboard as some of the youngest anglers in the competition.
Pretty good little chunk of change there. Thanks for that update, Taylor. An astronaut who once lived in the CSRA for a short time and got to walk on the moon came back to be the Grand Marshal for Johnston's Peach Blossom Festival out in Edgefield County. Charles Duke was a part of the 5th team who got to go on the Apollo 16 mission back in 1972. During a press conference, he talked about how he lived in Johnston during World War II, how he wanted to join the Navy, and what inspired him to chase his dreams to become an astronaut while he was at MIT.
The first astronauts were selected then, and NASA was formed, 58 and 59 time frame. And I said, man, that would be a wonderful adventure. But I, too young, too inexperienced, and didn't think much about it. And I met some astronauts, and they were so excited about their job. I said, well, how do I get that job? He said, get your degree and then go to test pilot school, and you might have a chance. So that was my motivation.
Duke got to do just that. After he got his degree, NASA announced another selection of astronauts in 1965 with 18 other people. A celebration for the godfather of soul wrapped up this weekend. Community members spent the day celebrating what would have been James Brown's 90th birthday party. Our Taylor Martin got a chance to speak to his family, and they are blown away by how he's touched so many people's lives.
Celebrate him as a creative, and I celebrate him as a black man who was doing this at a very crucial time in our lives.
James Brown's legacy is not only a reality for many, but his daughter says it's a gift.
That's a blessing, because word says that, and even in your own hometown, you can't be honored. But look at the love out here, look at how many people are out here because of my dad and his music.
Through his music and dancing, younger generations are expressing their creativity and keeping his legacy alive.
I'm just thankful that we can continue doing this and giving children an opportunity to perform and show their talents. That's what my dad would be about. Let that next generation show what God has blessed them with.
A celebration of community through food, art, local businesses, and a lot of soul.
It's always a great turnout, and it's a good thing that a lot of people will still come out to the community, and so many people, they are actually getting to our businesses, because without them, there would be no us.
And his family says the celebration does not stop here. They'll be bringing it to Atlanta on May 20th. So certainly more time to celebrate the godfather of soul. The pandemic really put the spotlight on the nursing shortage, but Augusta has a new way to recruit and train nurses. Lori Ott is the president of the Piedmont Augusta Foundation. She is our guest with Richard Rogers in our one-on-one segment.
Laurie, welcome. Always good to have you here in the studio again after all these years of anchoring together.
I've worked so hard to get back here, Richard. Thank you for finally having me.
You've earned your way back. In a few years ago, I remember interviews of you during the pandemic saying there is a nursing shortage and it is a problem. Have we made any progress?
Yeah, Laura Warren and I sat down a couple years ago, and I wish I could tell you that we are post-pandemic, and post-pandemic nurses bounced back and came back to the profession. Unfortunately, so many nurses sat out and have continued to sit out. And so the nursing shortage is more critical now than ever. If you do a quick Google of nursing shortage, there are so many studies, so much documentation, so much data, Richard. Nurses have left the profession, and those who haven't left yet are thinking about leaving, and worse yet, our baby boomer nurses, who are incredible, are retiring. They have earned this retirement. We owe it to them to let them retire. But when they go, who steps in to take their place?
That's a lot of knowledge about to walk out the door.
It is a lot of knowledge, and unfortunately, nurses don't stay at the same hospital for 20 or 25 years anymore. That's just not a thing. Nurses are able to move around. Why? Because there's such a shortage.
In a perfect world today, how many nurses could you hire?
At least 100,
wow.
Maybe more. I talked to our chief nursing officer, Janae Dock, and
is this system-wide or here in Augusta?
This is here in Augusta. Oh yeah, we're not even talking system-wide.
Right.
This is just here in Augusta. And that is not talking about all the other hospitals in Augusta. You can't throw a stone without hitting a hospital in Augusta, in our community.
Yeah.
It's not just Piedmont Augusta. We're competing with Aiken Regional and Doctors Hospital and AU and Walton and Specialty Select and the VA, the 2 VAs, and the Army Hospital. And they need nurses just as badly as we do.
Well, let's talk about this new partnership, because you're not just sitting back ignoring a shortage. You and Augusta Tech are doing something that I can't remember ever happening before, really a strong partnership that gave Augusta Tech a brick and mortar hospital.
Absolutely, and we think certainly it's the first in the state of Georgia. It's the first partnership of its kind with the Technical College System of Georgia, the TCSG. And so not only do we have the entire Allied Health Science campus of Augusta Technical College on our campus at the old Trinity, what we now call Piedmont Augusta Somerville campus.
Yep.
So they're all with us on Wrightsboro Road at our Somerville campus. We also have, the foundation has raised more than $1 million to help fund scholarships for these Augusta Tech students. We started with associate degree nurses. That's an 18-month program. Usually, Richard, it's a 2-month program, but Augusta Tech has compressed it. It's 18 months start to finish, and we have an RN. So that is a huge help. That is a huge help. And we've also expanded those scholarships now to LPNs, licensed practical nurses. That's a 1-year program. So that's an even quicker turnaround. We need to get folks into this, and stop saying pipeline, because people don't really fit in a pipe. We're talking about pathways,
sure,
right? How do you lay out the paver stones in a pathway format so that maybe if I'm the first person in my family to go to college, how do I accomplish that? How do I accomplish that if I'm working? How do I accomplish that if I'm a working mom of 2 kids and trying to support my family?
All those barriers.
So many barriers, but we have to attack them, and if we have to do it one by one, we're going to do it one by one and figure out how to remove those barriers, because we need nurses.
We're going to put a QR code up on the screen. Nursing students, you're going to know exactly what to do with this. I don't have to explain anything, but explain to what this link is and what it'll take them to.
I am so excited. First of all, this is the largest QR code I've ever sat next to.
It's a new record.
So I'm pretty excited about this. Thank you, Richard Rogers, for doing this.
We wanted to make it scannable from their TV screen.
Former co-anchor status has its benefits.
We're looking out for you.
It really does.
Any way we
appreciate
can.
it. Friends with benefits. So I'm super excited about this QR code, because if you click this QR code, it'll take you straight to how to find out more information about the nursing programs at Augusta Tech and also the nursing scholarships. Dr. D'Amica Williams is our program coordinator with Augusta Tech. And the neat thing, Richard, is she's run associate degree nursing programs, and she is running the scholarship portion, but also our partnership with Augusta Tech. So whether it's you have questions about LPN or associate degree nurses, or do I have the requisites, or what's my score where's that get me in the class ranking? Can I get in? Do you have enough slots?
Yeah.
This is going to answer all of that.
All right, we're going to leave this on the screen, but we're going to move on and talk about the Piedmont Augusta Foundation. For viewers who don't know, that's where you landed. That's your job. That's your passion. What are you guys doing?
I'm really excited. Of course, the opportunity to work for the hospital that saved Casey's life. 22, almost 23 years ago.
Little heart patient.
Little Casey, that's
Yeah.
right, that's right. Casey was born at University Hospital, then University Hospital, and our hospital saved her life. And now she'll be 23 in a couple of weeks. I cannot believe she'll be 23.
That's a great
success
story.
So I really leapt at the chance to work for the hospital where Casey's life was saved. So for us, at Piedmont Augusta Foundation, we're in our 45th year. We were formed in 1978, so we've been doing this since 1978. 45 years of asking the community to support our nonprofit hospital, keeping all those funds, all those contributions here locally.
We like that.
Thousands and thousands of times a year we assist patients. People really don't understand. 3,556 times last year we did patient assistance. That's paying a power bill. That's paying a water bill. That's paying maybe a rent or mortgage payment, medications, trips to the physician's office, all those things. And you have to be financially qualified for that. You have to meet certain qualifications to get that patient assistance. But more than 3,000 times a year, that's a lot in a year. All those are local patients coming here and getting care locally, which is really important.
I lost a co-anchor, but you landed in a great spot. I can tell you're passionate about what you do,
Yeah.
and I appreciate you dropping by. Before I let you go, though, let's talk about May being Stroke Month.
Yes,
What
it
do
is.
people need to know about Stroke Month?
So they need to know, unfortunately, we're in the buckle of the stroke belt. Don't you hate being in a belt?
Yeah,
I just hate being in a belt.
You know,
I don't,
we're ground zero for all the bad stuff sometimes.
We are, and it's diet and exercise. So there's some things you can do to minimize your risk of stroke. First of all, eat healthy. Know your numbers. Know your cholesterol. Know your blood pressure. High blood pressure is another risk factor. Know your family history. Please don't smoke. And get up and move, exercise. Exercise is a great way to help prevent stroke. Now, if you have a stroke, you want to come to a place that has experience and knows how to treat you. We have the medical and surgical interventions to take care of stroke patients. And we've started doing thrombectomies. Dr. Cargill Allen and Dr. John Hansen, our interventional radiologists, snake up through an artery in your groin up to your brain, Richard.
Wow.
With incredible TV pictures on a screen about this big.
I need to be asleep when this happens, by the way.
You are totally asleep. You are totally quality sleep. But what's neat is they've snaked the clot out of the brain. They can take this catheter up and catch the clot and pull it back out.
Yeah.
And they've seen patient movement that was paralyzed before. They've seen arms and hands come back to life. And so brain is function. Like when we think about saving brain is so important because it helps save function. Your activities of daily living that you and I don't even think about, brushing our teeth, swallowing, talking. I mean, all these, walking, all these are things that get taken away in a debilitating stroke.
She's not a doctor, but she plays one on TV.
Oh, no, I work with incredible doctors.
You sound like you're very close to getting your degree. Laureate, always a pleasure. President now of Piedmont Augusta Foundation. Please keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you for having me. I sure do miss you.
Glad to be here. Miss you too.
A couple of old co-anchors chopping it up there. Appreciate that, Richard and Laurie. New details on the deadly Moultrie shootings that left 4 people dead. The GBI says the shooter killed 2 of his family members, a co-worker, then himself. Lena Allen shares how one of the victims' family members is coping.
The city of Moultrie rocked by an unexpected tragedy. 26-year-old Kentavious White opened fire on his mom, Susie Arnold, and his grandmother, Hilda Marshall. White's mom was taken to the hospital where she later died from her injuries, while his grandmother was shot to death in her home right next door to Arnold's. But the shootings didn't end there. Just 4 minutes away at the McDonald's where White worked, he shot and killed his assistant manager, Amia Smith, and then turned the gun on himself. This is the McDonald's where Amia Smith worked for 5 years. It's back open now, but that doesn't mean employees here have forgotten what happened. They've adorned each door with this purple bow and are wearing purple today as a way to honor Amia.
And we're still today asking ourselves, why? Why her?
Amia's cousin Felicia Magoo is still in shock. She tells me one of her last conversations with Smith was about how much she loved her job.
But she had just gotten an award, I think it was in December, for some type of achievement. For this to happen with someone that actually worked there is, I guess you're just not safe anywhere.
Arnold and Marshall both worked at the Golden Apple Assisted Living Facility and are also missed by many.
Both of them were 2 of the most amazing people I've had the pleasure of being around.
According to the Moultrie Observer, the Moultrie police chief says White was shot at 3 days prior to Thursday's incidents. I reached out to the Moultrie Police Department to learn more about that incident, but I'm still waiting to hear back. Lena Allen, WALB, your hometown news source.
And in light of those recent shootings, Peach State lawmakers from both sides are calling for stricter gun laws. Others say this is more about mental health than guns. The manhunt for a suspect from Sardis ended right where it started, at the hospital where he escaped after a standoff with police. On Wednesday, 30-year-old Jerry Flakes Jr. was arrested after a 4-hour standoff at the Walmart in Wallace, North Carolina. That's just north of Wilmington. He was injured and taken to a hospital for a mental evaluation, but managed to escape Thursday afternoon. A homeowner spotted Flakes under the front porch and alerted deputies. As deputies were searching that home, they heard a woman scream for help nearby. They say Flakes had broken into that home and stolen some clothes. Deputies caught up with him in the parking lot. He's being held in Raleigh until his first court appearance. Investigators are looking into what caused a small plane to crash into the Catawba River in South Carolina. As you can see, it had flipped upside down right there. 2 people were on board, a pilot and a passenger. Both escaped without any significant injuries. That is good. Crews on scene say it could have been much worse, and the investigation into the crash is now in the hands of the FAA.
There is an FAA representative on site who is overseeing the recovery and removal of the aircraft, and that's what's in progress right now.
The recovery team will have to disassemble the airplane before it can be removed from the water and then make sure there's no fuel leaking into the water. A new Georgia law will create an oversight commission with the power to remove local prosecutors. Governor Kemp signed that bill into law. Republicans see it as a way to hold district attorneys and solicitors general accountable. Democrats say the 8-member commission could misuse its authority to punish or remove local prosecutors unnecessarily. State lawmakers were joined by officials from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia at Boeing, South Carolina, to celebrate a new partnership. Back in March, officials with Riyadh Air and Saudi Airlines announced the 5th largest commercial order in Boeing's history. The purchase comes as Saudi Arabia aims to become a global aviation hub, serving 300 million passengers and attracting 100 million visitors annually by 2030. Senator Lindsey Graham says they didn't buy from Boeing because he, quote, begged them to, but because it's the best product they could buy.
From a South Carolina perspective, this is maybe the most consequential purchase for our state and maybe in the history of Boeing, because it allowed us to engage a problematic ally in a new way.
The first of the Boeing planes will be delivered in 2025 with hopes of becoming a global aviation hub. Cryptocurrency scammers are using new tactics to try to take your money. Authorities in Cherokee County are sounding the alarm on Bitcoin machines. And they're not just in the Atlanta area, but all across the state, even here in Augusta. Zach Summers explains.
I don't think a lot of people know about the Bitcoin machines.
They're relatively new inside gas stations across metro Atlanta. Bitcoin machines used to turn cash into cryptocurrency. But Captain Jay Baker with the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office says scammers are using the machines to get to your money.
And they've taken a lot of money.
At least 2 women have recently fallen victim to the so-called Bitcoin ATM scam. One victim out $12,000, the other $15,000.
It's the same thing as the debit card or the gift card scams that you hear about often.
Here's how the swindle works. A scammer calls or sends a pop-up message to your computer, telling you that important information like your social security number has been compromised. Captain Baker says they keep you on the phone using scare tactics until you deposit cash into whatever Bitcoin machine they send you to.
These suspects are very convincing. They make the victims very nervous. They feel like they are in trouble, and they're just trying to fix the situation by giving this money away.
Once the victim sends a picture of the receipt to the scammer, the money is gone. That receipt has all the information the scammer needs to steal your money.
So the money is basically going from their hand into the suspect's digital wallet, and it's gone.
Captain Baker says it's almost impossible to catch the scammers because they often aren't in the U.S. He says cryptocurrency is also hard to track.
It's a scam every single time. Don't fall for it. They want to keep you on the phone, just hang up and call 911.
Feels like everybody's scamming people all sorts of ways these days. Can't even go get your little Bitcoins now. Okay, be careful out there. Alrighty. A 7-year-old boy may have saved the day at a nearby house when he quickly let his neighbors and dad know about a house fire. First grader Ford Lentz was playing baseball with his dad at their Charleston home. That's when he saw flames and smoke from another home in the neighborhood. He wasted no time running to tell neighbors about that fire.
We're so proud of Ford for thinking so quickly and doing the right thing and telling an adult. And the fire chief that stopped by our house told us that he was so proud of Ford for knowing the right thing to do and for acting quickly, and that because of him that he saved the day. And that it could have been a lot worse than what it was, and thankful that the neighbor was able to sleep in his home at night.
Firefighters also gave Ford the experience of a lifetime, getting the chance to spend some time in one of their fire trucks. 5 years ago, a South Carolina woman nearly lost her life after a driver high on cocaine and other drugs hit her head on. Now she's fighting to strengthen the state's DUI laws and make our roads safer for everyone. State House reporter Mary Green has the details.
On this Lexington County highway 5 years ago, a driver high on cocaine and other drugs nearly ended Megan Diffie's life.
I was hit head on at 60 miles per hour and from behind at 45. My husband was 2 cars behind me, and so he did see the whole thing.
It sounded like about 1 million soda cans being squashed at the same time.
Inside this wreck was Brandon's wife, Megan, around 24 of her bones broken and suffering a traumatic brain injury. She doesn't remember anything until nearly a month after this crash.
And I'm really grateful for that because I've heard stories of what happened or what was going on, and it's nothing that I ever care to remember.
As she recovered, Megan learned about efforts to make it harder for impaired drivers to get behind the wheel in South Carolina.
It's really frustrating. The more you learn, the more infuriating it is to know, what's the holdup? Like, this seems like a common sense bill.
Under current state law, drivers can be required to temporarily use an ignition interlock device if they have multiple DUI convictions or one conviction with a blood alcohol content nearly twice the legal limit. Those drivers have to blow into the device and their car won't start if they're intoxicated.
We know that last year in South Carolina, 22,000 times people tried to start their car with alcohol in their system and the device worked and stopped the car from starting.
This bill would impose this ignition interlock requirement on all first convictions for DUI and pre-convictions.
That's the biggest reason why this is needed, is because if you're getting caught, you've done it before, and you're not afraid of doing it.
Megan testified in support of the bill at a hearing this year, and it's now advanced further than it's ever gotten. She got here after too many surgeries to count.
Everything's been operated on.
And her life is forever changed.
I'm not going to be able to go back to my job. I'm not going to be able to run again. And accepting that, it takes a really long time.
Now she and Brandon are excited to soon welcome their first child, a boy. A baby they were unsure they could ever have after the crash. But the wreck still casts fears and worries over that joy.
Worrying about not being able to chase after, kids who's just playing around and not being able to catch them. Not being able to pick him up off the ground.
Megan and Brandon say the driver who did this to them and anyone else who gets behind the wheel intoxicated or impaired are selfish.
Think about putting your life at risk and think about, you don't know who you're going to hit.
Mary Green reporting for us there. Let's broaden out to some national news here. The writers' strike is nearing its first week and could impact what kind of shows you see up on your screen. Production has stopped immediately for some late night shows. Elise Preston reports on what this means for the workforce.
Hollywood's writers' strike has hit one of MTV's biggest nights of the year. The network, which, like CBS, is owned by Paramount, canceled the live broadcast of their annual award show after host Drew Barrymore pulled out in solidarity with the strikers.
I think we're going to see a lot of production shut down in the coming weeks as well.
New reports show several top media executives earned salaries topping tens of millions of dollars in recent years.
I know we're talking about this very particular thing, right? These 11,000 members, how this impacts them. But what does this show about our society as a whole?
Labor is empowered right now because of the increased disparity between the haves and have-nots.
Demanding higher pay and more resources for students, Oakland, California teachers are preparing to picket Monday for a third day.
It's really important for me to live in the community that I'm teaching in, and with my salary, it's just not possible.
And across the country, American Airlines and Southwest pilots voted to authorize this strike as negotiations continue. News of even more looming summer strikes comes as the latest jobs report shows more Americans are back to work. Unemployment is at a record low, and wages are slightly higher. Elise Preston, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Moving on to the Texas shooting here, following up on the latest there. Officials say the gunman did not have a serious criminal record before the incident that killed a number of people in Allen, Texas. CBS News' Ken Molestina reports from Allen.
On Sunday, mourners built a makeshift memorial for the victims at the Allen Premium Outlets. The day before, a gunman pulled up in a sedan and began shooting at people, killing 8 and wounding several more. Multiple sources telling CBS News Texas the gunman has been identified as Mauricio Garcia and that he had no serious criminal record. An Allen police officer who happened to be nearby killed the shooter moments into the deadly rampage. Police say likely saving lives. Authorities did not immediately provide details about the victims as local and federal authorities investigate.
We know you are grieving. We are grieving. Rest assured, the nation and the world are also grieving.
Stephen Spainhauer, whose son works at the mall, says he got to the scene before first responders and tried to save people.
I never imagined in 100 years I would be thrust into the position of being the first responder on the site to take care of people.
Shoppers there at the time of the massacre recalled hiding in various locations as the mall ordered everyone to shelter in place.
It was scary. I mean, anybody would be scared when they hear gunshots and they just don't know what's going on.
News helicopters capturing aerial footage that showed hundreds of people leaving the mall in the tragedy's aftermath. Ken Molestina, CBS News, Allen, Texas.
In a statement, President Biden also added, quote, "Such an attack is too shocking to be so familiar," adding that the U.S. has seen 200 mass shootings so far this year. Authorities in Maryland have a suspect in custody after reports of gunshots fired in a mall Sunday evening. Law enforcement quickly rushed to the St. Charles Town Center in Waldorf to investigate. Charles County deputies say initial reports indicated a group of teens may have shot the gun. However, no injuries have been reported. The mall closed down for the remainder of the day as a result of those gunshots. An influx of migrants at the U.S. border is coming as the border restriction known as Title 42 is set to end this week. Mayors of towns along the southern border are calling on the Biden administration to provide more federal resources. In preparation for the influx, unarmed active duty soldiers will be there to give support as needed. Agents are preparing for a massive surge when the restriction ends May 11th. Firefighters out in Los Angeles saved a horse yesterday afternoon. That's right. Crews say they found it stuck on its side in a narrow wedge. This is view from overhead as they tried to find the safest way to help it back up. By about 5:40, they successfully got a rope tied around its waist and helped it back up. No word yet on what happened to its owner or how it got stuck down there in the first place, but the horse is okay. The death of a 30-year-old homeless man from New York City is continuing to spark protests. Jordan Neely allegedly threatened passengers aboard a New York City subway and was later put into a chokehold by one of the riders. Now, some are calling for justice for Neely, who also struggled with mental illness. Protesters could be seen chanting Neely's name and waving signs with different messages. Reverend Al Sharpton also made a call for action during his network's Saturday rally.
This man had a mental issue, and the way you handle that is not to put him in a chokehold and squeeze the life out of him. A mental issue on a train is not to be sentenced with death.
Neely's death has been deemed a homicide, which is fueling calls for criminal charges in the case. No charges have been filed yet against the 24-year-old passenger. Iowa officers say 3 people were stabbed during a fight near the University of Iowa campus. When officers pulled up on the scene around 2 o'clock in the morning, they say several people ran away and 3 men were left behind with stab wounds. All were taken to hospitals and are expected to recover. No arrests have been made and no word yet on what led up to that stabbing. A terrible moment for people at a resort in Colorado over the weekend. An air conditioning duct dropped from the ceiling, leaving 2 people with life-threatening injuries and 4 others injured. Lifeguards immediately stepped in to evacuate everyone. One boy says it felt like everything was happening in slow motion.
While I was in the pool, I just got off the slide, and all of a sudden, all of the metal pipes and stuff fell around everything, and some of it landed in the hot tub where I saw people get in earlier.
The pool area has been closed. No word yet on what caused that unit to collapse in the first place. How about some happier news now, huh? A 4-year-old boy from Tennessee may be a reading and writing genius. He is using his early reading skills to help other kids just like him. Riley Nagel has that story.
At 4 years old, King Chambers is already a superhero with super strength, super speed, and most importantly, the ability to read.
There was a boy named King. He was a very smart student who loved to read and learn new things.
King recently wrote his first book, titled King the Dream, which is about a superhero who teaches others how to read.
He loved reading, he loved math. He's just very, very smart.
King's mother, Jennifer Ellis, says he learned how to read at the age of 2.
And I read books to him all the time. Even when he was in the womb, I read books, and he loved it.
How many books would you say you've read so far? How many books
I read 90 books.
Ellis says once King started mastering more and more books, he told his mom he wanted to write a book about himself as a superhero.
And he came up with he could teach kids how to read. And so we helped him put it all together, put his dream in a book.
King is very proud of his book, and he even wanted to teach everyone at Local 3 how to read.
He loved to teach kids how to read. Anytime he see a kid, he let them know about his book. And they are so excited because it's nothing like having your own peer teach you how to read.
Ellis says she has no secrets to teaching a child how to read, but she says reading to them at night may help.
There's no rule book to parenting, but just give them 100% the best of you and all the love, because they're our future.
Ellis says she isn't sure what's in store for King's future, but she knows it's bright. King will be starting school next year, and we're all very excited to see his accomplishments and his next book.
The end.
Why does this work and how does it work? It's just, I love it.
One University of Maine graduate this year began his collegiate journey well before the rest of the class of 2023 was born. John Cyrus is 70 years old and has earned an undergraduate degree in microbiology.
I'm so excited for tomorrow. I'm going to actually get that diploma. It's actually finding. And it's kind of cool too is that my oldest granddaughter graduates from Lawrence this year.
I think it was his passion for science that brought him here at this age.
I love being, problem solving and doing things like that. I just loved it.
Cyrus's journey to get here has seen plenty of starts and stops. He was set to attend Rutgers University in 1971, but a serious car crash left him unable to attend.
My atlas bone had fractured and I should have been dead.
When he recovered, he was drafted into the Vietnam War and served as an Air Force lab tech. By 1976, he was just 9 credits away from graduating. But then
I had a lab accident and came down with mono and had to drop out. Well, I never got around to getting back.
After a career spent in labs and at the J Paper Mill, Cyrus retired in 2012 and needed something to do.
Then I got to thinking, gee, I'd like to go back, I've got time now, why don't I go back to school? Being back in the lab, the lab has always been my first love.
He's certainly made an impression on his younger classmates.
John is an interesting guy. He's a very nice guy. He just keeps on going. He's really driven. He loves what he's doing, and it really shows just in how he acts and how he's enthusiastic about what he's doing in our lab.
Cyrus's academic journey isn't stopping here.
I've been accepted to grad school here, so I'm working for my PhD after this for, which I'll have probably when I'm 75. So.
As for lessons learned,
find the time, make the time. Work and stuff is always there. But just to be able to go out and enjoy life and enjoy the world around you, experience some of the beauty. Go out there and live.
Advice fit for a commencement speech. Reporting from Orono, Tom Krosnowski, WABI TV5 News.
All right. Pretty cool right there. What's your excuse, everybody? Don't have one anymore. I also realized that my microphone was muted for a little bit there. Don't know how long it was muted for. Hopefully not too long. Hopefully you can hear me. Okay, the Clarks Hill Classic returns to Appling, and a football camp is coming back to town. Alyssa Lyons has your sports.
One of the best things about living in Georgia is that great fishing can be found anytime, anywhere, so why not put the best to the test? The Clarks Hill Classic returned in Appling. 158 teams over the span of 2 days competed on the water. It is the third year of the Classic. Saturday, 758 total fish were weighed, coming in at a whopping 1,698 pounds and change. Sunday, it was all about the finish. The team of Dustin Williamson out of Aiken and Hunter Temples out of Saluda came in first. They racked up 40.35 pounds over the 2 days. And second came the Holbrooks with 36.95. And in third was Paul Tickerhoff and Tim McMillan. Temples and Williamson walked away with the grand prize of $20,000. Nice bag of cash there. Current Philadelphia Eagle and Silver Bluff grad Teron Jackson announced his kids' camp will return. The youth football camp is for all boys and all girls ages 6 to 12. On June 24th, it'll be at his old stomping grounds at Silver Bluff, led by the defensive end and coach D'Angelo Bryant.
Okay, thanks for that, Alyssa. Got caught lacking there a little bit. That ended a little quicker than I thought it was going to. Okay, moving on here. Check this out. After not trimming his mustache for 30 years, a man from Summerville, South Carolina, earned a world record. Paul Slozar won the Guinness World Record for the longest mustache on a person. It's a little over 2 feet long. He says he may continue to compete, but if so, he's going to be doing it on the world stage. I don't know. What do we think? What do we think? I kind of like it. I think it's got some style. You could definitely do some cool stuff with it. You could drop it down, do like the little Hulk Hogan look he got there. You could curl it up. You could do one up, one down. A lot of freedom to work with all that hair. Okay, libraries are typically quiet places, but in Columbia County, they're making a little noise over there, and the librarians are not going to shush this one. Will Volk has the story.
John Welch doesn't have to go far to get away.
People take vacations, people do lots of things. My vacation is sitting in my house and playing my guitar.
And now he takes his vacation to work, too.
This is a great side thing to do. It involves a lot of our patrons in something that's not a traditional library thing, and moving from the chords. Right?
Welch has spent his entire career working in the library. The world's changing, so libraries are, too.
There's a perception that libraries are outdated and useless with the internet now. And so libraries in general are reaching out in a variety of different ways.
Welch says the library is a place to learn. That's why he's teaching what he knows.
It's very rewarding when you can find that somebody is making some progress, no matter how small, towards their goals of play. So you can do it off a major thing.
It doesn't matter if you're like me and have no real experience. Welch says he's happy to work with you no matter your skill level.
Yeah, it's always rewarding if you find something special in your life and to be able to help other people find that too.
In Evans, Will Volk, on your side.
The next lesson is next Tuesday, 1 week from tomorrow, May 16th. That's at 3 o'clock at the Columbia County Library. You don't have to live in Columbia County to go. They'll also provide you a guitar, and it is free. And you can find out more about this story or any others up on our website, WRDW.com. If you are watching this on the website and you want to check out some more stuff, be sure to download our WRDW streaming app. You can do that on your Roku, your Fire Stick, your Apple TV, whatever your favorite streaming device is. Just search WRDW on there, and it is free to download. Also, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube and type in WRDW News 12, you got us right here. And you just hit subscribe, and look, we're live right now. Well, there's an ad, but we are live, I promise, because that's what we're doing right now. And yeah, we've got all of our shorter form stuff on there. So if you don't have time to watch a full 30-minute newscast, we've got shorter clips up on the YouTube channel that you can check out. But yeah, that's got about 15, 20 minutes now until Morning Mix starts. So if you want to head on over to the TV side of things, is Cliff and Natalia, not Zaina, she's back tomorrow. Cliff and Natalia will have the latest over there. So we'll see you back here about 10:30, 11 o'clock today. Will Rio and I are going to sit down and talk about his investigation into the Burke County Sheriff's Office and play the full Alfonso Williams interview for you. So definitely going to want to stick around for that. We'll see you back here for then.